They won't be able to tell you that. So we are live. It's Give Voice to Your Vision Day, where we stop the spinning wheel and we get real. So it is clarity we feel. I can see that we are live in our group, Power Up Your Presence. Hello, everybody. We have a treat for you. The very first thing I'm going to do before I introduce my amazing guest is hop into our group and make sure that if you tune in, if you're here live and you want to come in and talk about sales and flow and powering up your follow-up and all things feminine, flowing, fabulous, financial freedom, I'm making this up, alliterating on F's. Your sales are going to help you make the greatest impact of anything you do in the world. Debbie is a master of that. And right now, today, special, only today, you have an opportunity to actually jump into the Zoom room with us, like Carol is doing. And we have Sally here who's not on camera right now. And we will answer your questions. Debbie is here to share her expertise. So this is interactive today, but you got to sign up. You got to click the link, you got to come in, and then in order to access the Zoom link. So we're going to stream. We are streaming rather. Hi, it's Give Voice to Your Vision Day. We're shifting the time a little bit for this show. We're going to be moving it closer to 11 over the next couple of weeks. And we have an amazing guest for you today. So I'm going to read your bio, but I do want to make sure we're going to do just a little housekeeping here so that I can make sure, first of all, that folks who join us in the Zoom room here.
In the meantime, Carol, please put in the chat what inspired you to show up today, and Sally, and what's your biggest challenge with sales and follow-up. Would love to know why you're here. There's lots of things you could be doing now. Why here with us? I know Michelle, to hear her sing is worth taking an hour to be here just to hear that. That like
I will sing for you some more. I sing because I can.
And I can, so good for you that you can, because
I couldn't for years. It's a big part of my journey. I could not, I was the singer who couldn't sing. That's how I got good at visibility. So everybody can sing. Singing is long sounds. If you can talk, you can sing.
I just don't have permission. Voice.
All right, so thank you, Debbie, for, do we have any comments in the chat? Not yet. Oh, Nancy's coming in. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Carol's here because she needs all the support she can get. And she's here because I inspire her. Debbie is going to inspire you too. Welcome, welcome. We are streaming live on Facebook. So without further housekeeping and busy work, you guys, this is Debbie Hoffman. I'm going to read some nice things about her. She's had an amazing life experience so that I'm focused. She's a heart-centered sales and follow-up expert, founder of Power Up Your Follow-Up. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, sales and follow-up are the only way that you're going to have a business. And your business is the manifestation of your calling and the way you're going to make the biggest experience in the world. And Debbie is here to share her magic, mastery, and insights with us on this. She works with relationship-driven entrepreneurs, coaches, and network marketers who are letting potential clients and incomes slip through the cracks because they don't have a reliable sales and follow-up system in place, and her proven step-by-step formula supports them to have more ideal clients saying yes to working with them. That's what we want, right? That's what we want. She's had 20 years of working on Wall Street as a managing director with over 25, wait a minute, billion dollars in sales. Like, that's a lot. That's a thing. She knows what she's talking about. She took her organizational skills and extraordinary ability to connect with people, as you're about to discover, and created multiple six-figure businesses. In addition, Debbie has had a tremendous success as a network marketer, which is what about sales and relationships. Oh, yeah. Having built an international team of several thousand consultants, she's a best-selling author and has a book highlighting her proven follow-up system, due out in 2022. Drum roll, please. So exciting. Her mission is to support you, entrepreneurs, to share their gifts, their message out in a big way. That's why she's here. So you can create the impact you're called to make. All right. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you. It's always so fun to be with Michelle. And Carol said she's always inspired by you and she needs support, all the information she can get to learn from others. So glad to have you here. Carol and Michelle, thank you for inviting me. And
Yeah,
Sally and
welcome.
Nancy, great to have you gals here.
Yeah, great to have you here. So if you're jumping in and you see us live, I put the link right under this video. You can sign up and get access to the Zoom link and come in, and we're going to support and coach you. Debbie's here to share her mastery with us today. If you we are streaming live, I will keep an eye on the comments in there too. And if you're watching the replay, do know that we're going to come back and give you as much support as we can. If you watch the replay, your tuition, not your intuition, your tuition for this value, for receiving this, for getting your questions and coaching answered, for being inspired is to comment, ask your questions, share your takeaways so that other people have an opportunity to tune in. We are in the world of distraction, and taking the time to share your takeaways, your insights, your ahas, your questions, be supported is going to literally help the algorithm tell other people there's some good stuff for them here. And so we appreciate that very much. All right. Hi, Nancy. It's so good to see you. We've got to reconnect. I know I messengered you recently, right? So we are here and we are talking about follow-up and sales. So Debbie, will you just start by telling us, how did you get here? A little trip through Wall Street and $25 billion in sales and network marketing to how you got to be here doing what you're doing now today.
I would love to. Thank you. And by the way, Nancy, you came on a little bit after I mentioned this. Please put in the chat your biggest challenge with follow-up and what inspired you to show up today. I always want to know why you're here. Okay. So if you're inspired to do that, please do.
Yeah, chat that and we'll get some more ideas specifically for you.
So I was really successful in Wall Street. You know, it was me and the guys. I made a very high six-figure income, but I was done and wanted to be home with my family. So I quit. And I had already started a health and wellness business. That's you know, the network marketing background. And so I decided this is what I'm going to do. I want to help people. During that time, the real estate market crashed. My husband was a high-income custom home builder, and we lost all of our properties. We lost our home. We went through foreclosure, bankruptcy, like the whole bit. It was super. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life. Threw me into a deep depression. I was a mess. But I decided, I was desperate. I had to show up at these networking events and put a smile on my face and pretend that everything was okay. Because back then people weren't talking about it, that kind of stuff. And so what ended up happening is at these networking events, I would walk up to people and they would literally turn away. They would turn around and walk the other way. Like people were avoiding me because I was so aggressive. Because on Wall Street, we were paid really well to be aggressive and assertive. And I didn't know that didn't work in the entrepreneurial world. So I was hitting my head against the wall day after day, and I was frustrated. And then one day I had this like aha moment, and I realized that I needed to let go of my agenda, show up in service to people, see how I can support them, not go there trying to get clients and to sell something, but to just reverse the whole equation and see how I could help these people. And everything shifted. I launched my coaching business and I went from 0 to 6 figures in 14 months. But during that process, I came this close to getting a job and selling out on my dream to be an entrepreneur. And that would have, you know, killed my spirit and happiness. And so one of the reasons I'm doing, you know, I'm teaching people sales and follow-up is because I never want anyone to have to make that choice between their dream and money, right? And to sell out unless they want to get a job, which is fine. So to me, I found that sales and follow-up is the missing piece for so many entrepreneurs. This doesn't come naturally to most people. It comes naturally to me. I can do this in my sleep, but most people it doesn't. And when I work with people who are so good at what they do, when they sit down to coach people or provide their service, they're amazing. It's just getting people to that point. That's the struggle for them. And even getting people to the point of having an enrollment conversation and then inviting people to work with them is a struggle. So that's why I'm passionate, because I want to help people share their gifts and get their message out in the biggest way possible and make the difference they're here to make. And like you said earlier, if you don't have a sales and follow process in place, it's not going to happen. So
Really powerful, really powerful. You also brought something to light that I think is so important, that we tend to, um, when things are so easy for us, we can kind of miss how powerful they can be for other people. So how glad we are today, and you and your clients are today, that you had the awareness to say, wow, this same method isn't working, and had your own personal journey. I think that's what makes us powerful transformational coaches, is that we've had our own awakening, and we will have our others, right? We don't stop, we don't get finished, right? But that you also were able to take this thing that was so intrinsic for you and bring it to people who it's such a struggle for. I love that. I love that. Keeping an eye on our group and my list of questions. Can you talk a little bit more about why you're so passionate about this specific piece of the puzzle, which is follow-up? I know someone shared that, that whole feeling of I don't want to bother people is one of the things I hear a lot, or how often should I, or I don't know how to say it. And I know that you're masterful at that, but why is that? Why are you so passionate about that? Maybe share some things that you've discovered that people struggle with along the way, so people know they're not alone.
Yeah, this is an area of people's business that is probably the biggest struggle. People hear sales and follow up and they go, oh, they just don't want to do it. But from what I find is that when people, like, what I teach is not rocket science. It's not complicated. It's not hard to learn. It's like, remember the old fashioned radios that had a dial, like back in the day, remember those? And if you were just a squinteenth off, it would be static. And then you'd move it back and you'd have a clear signal. Well, that's a great analogy for follow-up and sales skills. We're just a little bit off, like just a little bit. Some people are way off, but most of us are just a little bit off. And when you move the dial back and know what to do and know what to say and how to show up, it's a game changer. And so I see so many people struggling with this, and so many people are ready to give up on their dream and sell out and give up. And it's not because they're not amazing at what they do. It's because they just don't know the process. We all have those things that we don't know, mm-hmm. Right? And once we learn them, it's like, oh, like my clients go, oh, I can't believe, like, now that I know how to do this, it's been a game changer. I just have a brand new client. She was just kind of winging it with her discovery sessions with her clients. And we created a process, questions to ask, asking for permission, showing up in service. And the next week she leaves me a message on Boxer, Debbie, oh my God, I signed up my first client. And the process, she says, now that I know what to do, it's so much easier. So I want to make it easier for people. I'm passionate about this because people are really struggling. A lot of people are struggling with their business and they don't know why they're struggling, because this just hasn't been on their radar screen.
Well, and I think so many people were called to do this work, but we don't. I mean, I talk with people. So in order to have sales and follow up, you have to have some sort of visibility so that people know what you do, right? That's why we're such we do such fun things together. But a lot of people just don't know. They didn't sign up to be a marketer and a salesperson. I want to do my good things. I want to do my service. I want to heal the world. I want to get my message out there. And so not only do we not know what we don't know, right? Not know what we don't know.
Right.
But then we don't want to have to, right? We don't want to have to. So it's so important to, because I think that there's another mindset thing in there. I think there's another permission thing in there of, that's why I started today with talking about, like, your successful business, the clients enrolling with you. Actually, it's the sales marketer and your ability to have that revenue is the manifestation of you being fully aligned and serving, and your message actually getting out there, right? Because until you have that happening, you may be visible everywhere. And I did this. I had people like, your business must be amazing because I see you everywhere. And I was like, no, I'm just on the treadmill running, right? I'm just, here we go. And it's that I had to actually let it be marketing, inviting people to come toward me and then not leaving them hanging, right? Like, what? So here's how you can have the real transformation. And that's your offer and your sales. And so not only do we not know what we don't know, we don't realize that that sales conversation can be this amazing sacred container of transformation that you're holding for people. And if you never go there because you feel nervous or not sure why, not sure how, then there's an opportunity that you're all missing. They're both missing, right? So will you tell us, you started to touch on this, and I know that you do have a system, but tell us a little bit about what we don't know that we don't know, like what are the big challenges that people have and share with you, and maybe a little bit of how we can start to reframe that and get prepared, right? Like it's not rocket science. So will you do that with us?
I would love to. So there are a lot of challenges that I hear, obviously, about sales and follow-up that people have, but I'm going to share like the top 4 ones that I hear like all the time. And the first one is that people aren't prepared, and they actually use these words. They say, I just wing it. And I'm referring to like when they go network, what they're going to say when people ask what they do, what questions they're going to ask people. Like they're just not prepared. They just show up. There's sometimes no intention set of what they want to have happen at that event before their enrollment conversations. Like they're not prepared. Like this one client she wasn't prepared. She just totally went with the flow with each one, and she wasn't seeing any results.
Well, there's a risk in preparing. I see this I was like this as a performer too. Like if I actually prepare, then that means I'm planning to sell something. That means that I'm actually in business. That means that I'm actually believing in myself and the transformation I can bring. Right?
Yeah. And
very good. Very interesting.
The second problem or challenge that I see people have is that they're really disorganized. Like they don't have a system or process in place for sales and follow-up. And so they meet people and there's nothing. Like I hear people network all the time and they don't follow up with anybody. So they think networking doesn't work. It's not that networking doesn't work. It's that they're not working it. Like they're not following up from there. So,
I think I still have a drawer full of business cards, like right back there. I bet one of those drawers is full of business cards. And they made it to a spreadsheet somewhere years ago. Of course, I haven't been collecting business cards for years, so I really probably empty that drawer. But it's a lot if you don't have a system.
Yeah, and if you don't have a process, like people, clients, and partners, referral partners will slip through the cracks. So that's the second big issue, that they don't have systems in place. The third one is the salesy, like limiting beliefs. People have so many limiting beliefs and fears and stories that they make up about follow-up and sales that stop them in their tracks, and they just don't even do it. That's huge. So I'm always partnering up with people who do inner game work as well. And then I help them with mindset shifts around follow-up and sales. That helps tremendously. And then the fourth challenge I hear is, and this one just breaks my heart, is that hardly anyone I talk to is consistently asking their clients for referrals. It's just, again, not even on their radar screen. So those are the 4 biggest challenges.
So my head's exploding with ideas. I'm sure if you're listening, if you're here, Carol, Nancy, I know you're here. If you relate to any of those, let us know in the chat for sure. If you have any specific questions about those, please post those as well. I'm just checking in the group to see if we had anybody else commenting. So how can you give us a framework of like, what does it mean to be prepared?
Okay, so there's so many parts of our business that we need to be prepared, but I'm going to focus on one that I think people mess up the most probably, is preparing for networking. So how many times have you gals or guys, if you're listening, gone to a networking event and you ask somebody what they do and they hose you down for 5 minutes? Can you put in the chat if that's ever happened to you? It's happened to me a lot. Like,
it's harder to do in virtual networking.
Because they time you.
They
time you. So,
right.
Carol says yes. So you want to be prepared with a very compelling message that doesn't focus on your name and your title and where you're located and all this boring stuff, but it's more about the benefit that you offer and the problem that you help solve for people. So that's one part of preparation. Then I touched on the other part, which is setting an intention. Most people go to networking events looking to sell and get clients. yes, of course, we all want more clients, but that strategy doesn't work because so many people hate networking because everybody's so aggressive and it's repelling to them. I had a client once that I worked with, actually lots of clients, but this one particular, she hated networking. She had stopped going because she couldn't stand how salesy and pushy people were. And she also was feeling like she had all this pressure to sell and get clients. So I worked with her on a mindset shift around that, to show up in service to people, to find those people you can partner up with and who you can help. And of course, they're going to want to support you in return. So those are two areas that I think are really key when it comes to preparing for networking. That are super important. And then, like I mentioned, preparing, if you do have enrollment conversations, we all have some kind of conversation with people, whether it's a discovery session or just whatever you call it, where you have a potential client who's interested in learning more about what you do and you're learning about them, is to have a process so that you're prepared, so you're not winging it, and that you're leading people through a journey to transformation to help them achieve transformation in their business and in their life, like Michelle was talking about. So those are some areas about preparation.
I love that. I love that. It really can be a transformational opportunity for them to get clear whether they sign up or not. I mean, when I was learning my sales, for system, I learned years ago, they said, getting a client is the icing on the cake or the gravy, but that first of all, you're creating an opportunity for them. Right. And second of all, you're gathering information, gathering their language and hearing what they struggle with and what they're looking for and what they wish and what they dream. And it can be transformational on both sides. I love that, Debbie. That's great. So can we talk a little bit about being organized?
I know this is the part
I'm always like, oh God, Debbie, I'm glad she's not looking at my systems. Now I thankfully have someone helping me with my systems. But can we talk a little bit about that? Just why we don't, maybe a tip or two on how we can start.
Yeah, I know this is a big one.
Especially for the entrepreneurial brain, right? I just want to do this all day. Right, I want to talk and edify and teach and inspire. And I love sales conversations too, but I documenting and tracking. Ooh.
And this became, what you just said became even more clear to me when I started working with people women who had left corporate, who were now having to find clients. Before, they were given clients and they just provided their service and their value and they loved it. Now, all of a sudden, they're an entrepreneur wearing all these different hats and they have no idea what to do because they don't have a system in place. So when I talk about system, I'm referring to two different types of systems. The first one is having technology in place to keep track of all the people you're following up with. And this could be potential clients, potential referral partners. It could be team support people, just everybody who you need to be in touch with in your business, how to keep track of that. And there's a system called a CRM, a customer relationship management system, which is like the software, the way to keep track of everyone. So I was just on a call the other day with someone who's super, super successful, and she uses Excel spreadsheets still. And I'm like, what? Right. So for most of us, Excel spreadsheets.
But if her system works.
I don't know how she can talk. I don't think she's not doing the personal follow-up. She's got a team. So it's very different. For most of us who are solo entrepreneurs and don't have a sales team, Excel spreadsheets will not work. And notepads filled with people's names and contact info from online networking doesn't work.
Don't look over there.
I won't. We can't see. So the CRM. So I'd love you to put in the chat for those of you who are here. And then later, if you're listening to the replay or if you're in Michelle's group, to put in if you have a CRM, yes or no. Most people I speak to don't have one. And it's a game changer because you can put notes in there. You can set reminders for the next step. Without a system, clients and money will slip through the cracks. It's just people tell me, they use those words like people are falling through the cracks. Okay, I got a yes and a no. Okay, from Carol, I got a yes and a no.
Two different questions, maybe. Maybe two different questions.
Okay, I think the no is the CRM. She changed her mind.
I will tell you, I just got a new social CRM. It's a new platform that came out, and it's thrilling. For being able to drag and drop and have notes in one place and know exactly, have the reminders, tell me when I'm talking about, what I'm talking about, having
Yes.
different pipelines for different conversations, because we have two main things that we do in
Yeah.
our business. It has been not only, kind of a relief, and of course it's a great way to it's not letting people fall through the cracks. I just wanted to pull out what you said. You're hearing people saying things are falling through the cracks. So that means someone's life and transformation is falling through the cracks.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought this up. And this might sound really strong, but this is how passionate I am about this, is that if we don't follow up with people, I feel we have a moral obligation to follow up with people. If we know somebody has a problem we can solve and we don't follow up with them, that person could still be struggling with that issue that you could solve. Now, of course,
100%.
they might say no when you invite them to work with you. That's okay. At least you've done your part. So that's how strongly I feel.
Me too. Like, don't leave them hanging. Don't leave people hanging. And until they say flat out no, I mean, honestly, most people don't ever say no, and I follow up, right? Because I don't want to leave them hanging. They'll say not right now. They'll say I need this, or I'm in these many things and all these things. So if you don't have a system, which I didn't, 5 years ago, I'm still rediscovering people from that time, and like, how are they? I wonder what happened to them. So having a system totally transforms that. We're going to make some suggestions for us, Debbie.
Yeah, Nancy and Carol both had questions. So I'm putting in here a link to my resources page. So it's a longer conversation. It all depends on what your technological capabilities are, what you need it for, what stage you're at in your business. So that's what I work with my clients on, to help them choose the perfect system. But I have vetted some, so you can check out some super simple, really affordable ones and some more complicated ones. But you need to just do a free trial and see what works for you. So that's
you've touched on team, and you've talked about investment, and we've talked about this reality. You also said most people don't want to have to, with corporate, where they just show up and clients come and they service that work. But I just wanted to plant a seed for people watching, for wherever you are in your business. I know I have some people in my community that are like really looking for that first six-figure, first trying to get the treadmill going. And, your sales are the driver of your business. And when you have enough revenue, there will come a point, and it's not that far down the road, if you have systems, if you have a process, if you have tracking, as you have those things where you can have your business can be bringing you the clients, and you can be embracing the conversation that brings them on board. And people do have sales teams. Most people who have a multiple six-figure or seven-figure business have other people who can help them bring those clients in. But I don't know anyone, and I know eight-figure coaches, right? I don't know anyone who didn't have to own their own message and come into their own voice around that conversation and then systemize it.
Exactly.
So if I am working I love the sales conversation, and I love to talk to people, and I don't think that's ever going to change. But having a consistent, systematic marketing and messaging, visibility, and a process for people to come in, it's not even unrealistic. And we can get so caught up when we're without a system and without a methodology and without support. We can get so caught up, and I just got to get some clients and get it going. I got to get it going. And I was just I'm in my retreat right now. And one of my mentors was saying he has people on his list from 10 years ago who are still where they were.
Yep, they haven't
in that
changed.
tread. And what you're sharing with us today, Debbie, is a way to skip up out of that.
Exactly. And by the way, I had a typo in that link, so I put it in again. So I want to share about the second system. So the first system is the technology. You've got to have that in place. If you can't keep all this stuff in your head. But then what do you do with this thing? Like, you've got the system now. Now what you need to know what to do, how often to follow up, what are the best methods of communication, what do you say when you follow up, how frequently, when do you stop, when do you give up? And so that's where I come in. I help my clients with a step-by-step process, giving them the templates and the scripts that they put into their own words, and that comes from them authentically. So a lot of people go, I don't believe in scripts, but without scripts, you'll hose people down and go on too long. It's just a roadmap that you then tailor to your personality and your business. So when you have the system in place and then the process of what to do at every step, then you'll be in touch with your clients more consistently, your potential clients more consistently, and your potential partners. A deeper connection will be created. And then the trust is, the trust happens, and then you're closer to having a yes and working together or collaborating.
Wonderful. We have another, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but you're going to do a class on this, right?
I am. Yes. Do you want me to talk about that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So
Yeah, Debbie's got a couple of little presents. So I'm chatting her up on the side saying, which gifts do we get to share? She says, give them all. So buckle up. Good presents in store for you. Yeah, tell us about the training, and I will find that link so people can get signed up for that, and they can do a little deeper dive with you.
Awesome. So we're going to continue the conversation, and we'll go deeper into all those other challenges. And on Monday and Tuesday, I'm hosting 2 master classes, 3 crucial mistakes that cost entrepreneurs clients and money, and what you can do about it, how you can avoid them. And I'm going to go deeper into what we're talking about today. And if you took the quiz already, that was in the emails that came out, it's divided up into 4 categories, which are the 4 biggest challenges that I mentioned today that we're going to be talking about. So there's a method to my madness. If you didn't take the quiz, highly recommend you do, and I'll talk about that in a second. But during the masterclass, I'm going to go deep into talking about how you can be prepared, for those of you who aren't networking, getting you set up in the best way possible for networking. And if you already have, to be able to do it better and to get better results from it. We'll be going deeper into those systems and what you can do to be more prepared and more organized in your processes. And we're going to go really deep into referrals as well. And the best part is we're going to have Q&A at the end. So it's going to be like an hour of content and like an hour or 45 minutes of coaching. So you can come on live and open your audio up and have a conversation with me and get laser coaching. So it's going to be super fun.
It's an incredible opportunity. And if you're, in a place in your business where maybe you've been treading water for a while, you're still trying to get to that 50, 75 first 6-figure business milestone, networking, there are a gajillion places to network pretty much for free. A gajillion. That's an official head count. I counted them all myself. No, it is the way. You don't need a funnel. You don't need an ad budget. You don't need an expensive membership.
Yeah.
If you know how to do these things and you're willing to talk to people and let go of these limiting beliefs and be supported, you can have a 6-figure business in, 14 months. I had one and it was 18 months for me because I was extra scared, but
and I have
visibility stuff, right?
I've had a few 6-figure businesses that I created from networking. So
yeah,
it's an incredible way to get visibility, build that connection, especially now because people have been, isolated for so long. You meet these people and then have, virtual coffee meetings and get to know them on a deeper level, and you'll build incredible connections of people who will collaborate and support you. Like Michelle and I interview her, she interviews me.
Yeah.
We promote our programs and everything that we're up to each other's communities. We met through an event, right? I never would have met Michelle if I hadn't gone to this event. So
yeah, that was back when we were actually hugging in person.
I know.
For you here, I did put up her quiz in the chat here, and I'm going to get the link to her class here in the Zoom chat. In the group, can I share the quiz in the group as well?
Yes, please do that.
Yeah.
And Nancy said you teach how to use social media instead of networking meetings, especially since COVID. Yeah, well, the online networking, and I'm going to be sharing something that I do as well for networking. But yes, I do go into how to use social media to reach out, but that's more cold market or sort of lukewarm. When you meet somebody at a networking event, Nancy, and have that personal conversation, it makes the process so much easier and shortens the process. Because when you're doing all the social media stuff, which is good, it just takes longer and it's a lot more work. But yes, I do
For
teach
sure, it
that as
can. I
well.
will say that there are some a powerful techniques and tools that are working really well on social media,
Yeah.
and I think you need both. I
Yeah, you
think you
need
need
both,
both, and
definitely.
so one of the things I do is help. How do we streamline that social media presence and have it lead to sales more quickly?
Exactly.
Um, but I
One of the
think
things
that many of the tools cross, and having a system either way is essential, and that
exactly,
those same four things that you shared apply. I
totally.
don't know what to say, how often to say it, when to follow up, how do I have a warm conversation on social, and
Right.
without a whole bunch of complicated technology, or kind of just like all day long, right?
The mistake I see with social media, and you probably all have this happen to you, is somebody will request to connect with you, like on LinkedIn or Facebook, and then the first message is this long sales pitch. Has that happened to anybody? Just kind of raise your hand.
Every day, all day
Yeah,
long.
happens. Yeah, okay, all day long. And so we don't want to be that person. So yes, I teach how to make it about them so that they want to reach back out to you, right? So it's the same, like Michelle was saying, what I teach applies to social media or following up from networking. Follow up is follow up, and you do want to have different ways that you're meeting people. So I recommend doing both. But
and you said something so important about that earlier, Debbie, which was knowing how to ask for permission.
yes,
That's the difference. When
big
people are
time.
just spamming you and saying, hey, I have this really cool thing that da 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 da. I'm just like, thanks. No.
Sometimes I get feisty once in a while,
Me
and
too.
I'll say I teach my clients to do the exact opposite of what you
For
just did.
sure. I've
You
said, you
can't
don't
help
even
it.
know me.
Can't help it. And then
I
somebody said,
actually once said, I like somebody to buy me a drink first, take me out for coffee.
right, like don't ask me to marry you on the first date.
Exactly.
So just think about that. Like when you're networking in like back in the day, if you did networking in person, you wouldn't walk up to somebody and say, oh, hi, I'm Debbie Hoffman. Do you want to sign up for my sales and follow-up program? Like who does that, right? But people are doing that on social media. So yes, Nancy, I do teach people how to connect with people, how to look for those people, and do it in a
And
way
yet,
that's showing up in service.
you also teach people how to go from there all the way to, do you want to hear about how I teach people to sales and follow up? Because I think it
Exactly.
could be really helpful for you,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But it's a
There's a process.
conversation. It's upon request, really.
Yes.
And knowing how to do that is a total game changer, for
Yep,
sure.
it is. It is.
Anything else cool that you want to share with us today? Do you guys have
We
any
didn't talk
other?
about referrals. We didn't talk
Yeah,
about
let's talk
referrals.
about referrals. And
Yeah.
if you guys have any other questions that come up, please
Oh,
let us answer them, because you're here with us today.
before we move on to referrals, one quick thing I forgot to share when it comes to systems and follow-up is that research shows that like 48% of people who you'll meet you'll never hear from. They don't follow up. 48%, almost half of entrepreneurs don't ever follow up with anybody. It's crazy. And it
Just the
takes
simple act of doing it, people are so happy. Almost always. They're so like, oh, thank you.
that's what I was just going to say.
Oh,
Every time I
sorry.
follow,
I got all excited.
I know. Every time I follow up with someone, they thank me for reaching out. And I call them. I'm an old-fashioned girl, and I recommend you pick up the phone and call people. So it takes 5 contacts minimum for the average person to say yes to working with you. Some experts say 8 to 15, but only 8% of us, only 8% of entrepreneurs are making that 5th contact. And of course, those 8% are doing 80% of the business out there. So that's how important the follow-up is, and being consistent. And it's really challenging to be consistent if you don't have a system in place. I just want to make sure you have an idea of these statistics, because it's very powerful. So then with referrals, this breaks my heart. So research shows that when someone is referred to you, the chances of them becoming a client improves by 300%. It's huge, right? But most people are not asking for referrals consistently. So I'd love you to put in the chat if you consistently ask your clients for referrals, just yes or no to referrals. So I asked
even when you're
why.
getting started, right, Debbie? Even when you're getting started, you can ask your friends, your family, the church group, the grocery store owner, the nail salon lady.
Of course.
And it doesn't have to be icky.
And if it's a client, so here's the thing about clients. The reason I hear that people are not asking their clients for referrals, two things. One is they feel that they'll come across too desperate because they're asking for referral. The second thing is they say that I don't want to appear pushy or salesy because they've already become a client. Now I'm asking them to refer someone to me. Like, that's just too much to ask. So I want you all to have a mindset shift. I invite you to have a mindset shift around referrals today. Because if you've provided a great service or a great product to your clients and they've gotten great results, they've benefited from working with you, it makes them feel so good to refer someone to you. We just need to ask, right? So when I work with my clients, I have a whole referral strategy. When to ask for referrals, because there's a good time to ask and maybe a not so good time to ask. So you always want to time it right. You want to train to how to ask. And a lot of people just say, who do you know who you can refer to me? That doesn't work, right? Because it's too general. So do you remember those old fashioned, well, I'm sorry. The more specific you are, the more people are going to think of someone to refer to you. So those old fashioned Rolodexes back in the day where you had people's information on that little thing, right? If you ask very specifically for the type of person you're looking for and the problem that they have, or what they might be saying, what they might be complaining about, someone's going to go through their Rolodex in their head and go, oh, I know somebody, right? So the more specific you are, the more referrals you're going to get, and the easier you're going to make it for people to think of somebody to refer to you. Then we also have to train our clients and partners and the people in our lives in general how to make the referral. So how many times have you guys, so Carol said no, well, sometimes. Okay, thank you for being honest. I shouldn't look at the chat because then I get.
I know, me too. That's okay.
Oh, I know what it was. How many times have you heard people say to you, oh, I refer people to you all the time, or I referred somebody to you recently, and then you never hear from them, right? Like, this happens a lot. So we need to train them. And a little tip is have them and ask them if they'd be willing to make an email introduction so that they can step out of the picture, and then you can be in control of the next step, right? And then the last part to referrals is how to train. You want to give people, your clients and partners, the language of what you want them to say when they're referring people to you. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have time to sit around and figure out what to say about people when I'm referring to them. I don't have the time, and nobody can talk about what they do better than them. So I want them to give me the language. I create a Google folder with everybody's information in a Google Doc. And then when I'm ready to make a referral, I just copy and paste and add my personal touch to it and what I admire and appreciate about them, and it's off quickly. And so my clients are getting more referrals because they have a process in place, and they're sharing this referral language with their partners and letting their partners know that they can use this as a template to send their referral language back to them. And it makes them look so professional. It makes them look like they really want to help this person, which they do, right? And it shows that, wow, this person's really like buttoned up in their business. They're passionate about what they do. They believe in what they have to offer. So having a referral process in place is really, really key.
Nancy has a great question. She says, what do you do when you get a no at a discovery call? And what do you recommend to follow up? If it takes 5 connections, it sounds like at least 5 follow-ups before quitting.
Well, sometimes even more. Great question, Nancy.
Great question.
And so this is a big issue for so many people. I hear this all the time, that after, at the end of the call, if they have not made a decision yet, oh, well, you're saying you got a no. All right, well, if you get a no, you want to ask if this is a no just for right now. Is it about the timing, or is this a no like forever? Like, are they interested, but it's just not the right timing? And if they say, I'm interested, it's just not the right timing, you can say, when do you think it would be when do you think you'd be ready to work together, and listen to what they say. And then don't say, okay, I'll call you in September. Just say, ask them, like we were talking about asking for permission. If you ask for permission, you will never feel salesy or pushy ever again. It just won't happen, because you're respecting people. And when you ask for permission, if they say yes, then you are free to share. So you just want to ask them, when would be a good time for for us to reconnect? Don't say follow up, for us to reconnect, and we can see where you're at then, and look at getting started. So great,
I
great,
love
great
that,
question.
Debbie. It's such a great question. It's so true. I've really taken a tack of, I'm in this for real connection, and I really want to help people. So to
Yeah.
say, well, we've talked now, so you're on my radar, and I don't like to let people fall through the cracks, especially if it's a not right now, or I don't have the money, or I need to do those other things. And I mean it, right? So if I don't follow up, then I'm not being in integrity with the
Exactly.
way that I want to run my business, right? Even when it is an 8-figure business, I still want to have real conversations, and I want to have other people having real conversations.
Exactly.
So it's an integrity thing. I love that, Debbie. It's so powerful.
Now, if you are getting a no, it could be, and I don't know, obviously, but we really need to create the gap between what they want to create in their life or business and where they are now. So I really work with my clients in, really specifically asking those questions when they are a no, and just setting it up in a way so that they're really clear, making sure they're clear on what you can offer to them and what the benefit would be and what it's worth to them to have that result in their life, and what's the cost of them not taking action to continue on having that same problem year after year after year. There's somebody from years ago, and I had to remind her that when we last spoke, you had the same issue.
Yeah.
And you still have it. And then
And
they
you
were
had
like, oh
notes
my
in a
God,
CRM
I
that you
had
could
notes.
read.
I had notes in my
Yes.
CRM. I played back everything she had shared with me, and she went, oh my God, you're right. And she signed up to work with me on the spot. And she thanked me for years after that for following up with her, because if I hadn't, and that I think was a 1 or 2 year process. And she finally was like, oh my God, nothing's changed. I'm still stuck. I'm still in the same place. So that's how powerful follow-up is. And that's my commitment to my clients, and to everyone, is to give them the support they need so they don't give up, so that they can create the transformation they're here to make.
So much goodness. Do you guys have any other questions? Let us know in the chat since you are here. I checked in our group and I don't see any others right away. We did post the quiz in the group, and we can join you for class next week. So be sure you get signed up for that as well.
I see a typo with the Power Up Biz Quiz. I'm going to put it in. We both did that today.
I copied what was in the document I had.
Okay, sorry. So that was my bad then. So there was an extra E between power and up. So it's just powerupbizquiz.com. So sorry about that. It was
Oh, I see. I just want to edit the one online. I just want to edit the one online. Yeah. Really good.
Again, I put in this is like my 3rd time. Okay, I put in only 2 W's. So I'd love to know your biggest takeaways, ahas, insights here in the chat. If you want to put it in, the folks that are here with us live, I always want to know what you're taking away, what you're going to implement, what you're excited about learning. So if you want to do that, please do.
And then if you have like a one tool that you would recommend for people to implement, that would be exciting for us to hear too.
Okay, awesome.
So we say here, Debbie, transformation happens through implementation.
Exactly.
And it's inspired action, but the action is essential, right?
Exactly.
And so we definitely want to implement.
So there's 2 things. The first thing is, like I mentioned, to check out a CRM. That's one of the takeaways from Carol. I need a system that I didn't know I needed. So check out and get a free
check out Debbie's resource list and reach out to us if you have questions on that.
And come to the masterclass, and we can go deeper into what CRM to use, because then we'll have time for Q&A. The other thing that you can do, and again, this is one of the big mistakes people make in their business, is whenever you have a networking event or a seminar, workshop, or anything you're attending, you're going to be meeting people there. So as soon as you put that in your calendar, I recommend that you block out time for the next few days so you can follow up with people, and put it in your calendar as an appointment with yourself. Like follow up from blank event. If it's a 2 to 3 day event, you'll need more days, like 3 or 4 or 5 days, and half-hour chunks or hour chunks of time, whatever you can do. If it's just a 2-hour event, maybe you just need a couple days and to block out some time. But if you don't block out the time, the calls won't be made, and the time that you spent at that event will go down the drain. And I hear this all the time. Like whenever I do discovery sessions with people, I ask them, how do you meet people? And they say, networking. And I say, how many events do you go to a month? And I'm hearing 4, 5, 6 or whatever, like crazy numbers, and they're not following up from any of them. So like, why bother going? Go to one event a month and do really good follow-up. Brilliant. And you'll get results. Right?
Brilliant. And what happens is we get sucked into the learning mode, into the research mode, and we feel our brain thinks it's being effective when it's busy. And so we gobble up information, but we don't know how or have the support we need to implement that information. So the same is, it's absolutely true. And, not only the follow-up, but your business time. We can get caught in the hustle or sifting through social media sites, and we need to block out time to do outreach, to be visible, to go to networking meetings, and to follow up. And it's amazing. A few years ago, somebody said that, in order to have a successful business, 80% of your time as the founder, the main coach, the CEO, is marketing and sales.
Yeah.
20% is doing the work and working with clients.
Exactly.
And delivering.
You mentioned something that I wanted to touch on, because I normally share this. So back to why I'm so passionate about this.
Yeah.
I see people spending so much time getting their programs put together, their packages, their services, their product, their
websites, funnels.
Beautiful. And they are like avoiding sales and follow-up like the plague. You're going to waste all that time and effort and energy and money. Like it's just going to, like I said, go down the drain. So it's great to have those things in place, but I'll tell you, sometimes people say, I can't sign up to work with you now because I just invested to have my website worked on. It's like, I built a 6-figure business in 14 months without a website. And then I had a really crappy, ugly, embarrassing website. And then finally I said, okay, I need a good website, and I have something now that's nice. But you don't need a website if you're new in business to grow your business. You want
who you are and how you talk about what you do and what you deliver and what you offer is evolving all the time.
Exactly.
And you do need clients. The more clients you have, the more you can invest in your business. Super powerful.
Yeah.
And, I was taught all you need is a phone and a way to take money to be a coach.
Exactly. And Nancy said, we'll definitely check out the resource. It was so good to be reminded about the importance of follow-up, that it's not a bother, but helping others. Great takeaway, Nancy.
Excellent takeaway.
And we get to see Sally.
Yay, Sally. Good to see you.
We'd love to have you chat your takeaways, ahas, insights, and any questions that you have.
Yeah, we would love to jump in. We're just wrapping up. So is there any final thoughts that we've missed out on? You guys, Debbie knows her stuff. And if you're not having all the clients you want, there's something in this for you. There is a sales conversation. There is a means to a sale. How do I lead into a sales conversation? So between Debbie and I, it's, how do people know about you and how do you sign them up? And she's offering some great trainings. Take her quiz, go to class, and
go to class.
Go to class.
Go to class.
Be sure you go to class, but don't just go gobble up more information.
Right.
Turn everything off. Go tune in and say, what has been valuable? Ask for one implementation. We've given you about 500 that you could do today. And if you don't know what that is, get clear, reach out, ask a question, and then implement, because that's where you're really going to see the change and the shift happen that you need to have happen. Yeah. A little bit on a soapbox here, but more free stuff. Well, I call it the freebie mentoring plan. And it's a trap. It's your brain gobbling up information instead of helping you take action. And it's very compelling because there are some amazing people giving amazing things away. But if you're not implementing, then you're missing the boat. You're buying into that freebie mentoring plan, and it will lead you astray. And there are, so find your mentors, find your guides. And the last thing I'll say is that not only do we invest time, this is why I bring Debbie to you, and I bring other people that I know deliver the transformation, because not everybody wants to work with me. Not everybody wants to work with her. I want you to have the next right thing. And I trust you to know what that is. Okay. But the myth of I got to get a few clients and then I can invest in my business is huge in the coaching and service and consulting industry. And if you were going to build a pizza store, you would get some cheese and some dough and an oven and some sauce before you ever sold a pizza. Now, I know also too, sometimes people say, I've invested on all this stuff and I didn't get the results. So I just want you to frame that up in a way that's going to serve you and help you move forward. And all that stuff is going to pay off when you can get visible and close sales.
Right, exactly. That's the two. That's why we're such great partners.
Yeah.
Yes,
And being able to have these resources and know what to say is an incredible, it's essential if you really want to have a business. And if you feel called, you've got a big gift you want to share, then your business is going to answer that calling in the biggest possible way.
Exactly.
Yeah. I adore you. I love having you here.
It was so much fun. Thank you all for participating and for asking such amazing questions.
Thank you for being here. Yes. I'm so glad to have you guys who showed up here live. We are in the Power Up Your Presence group. You're going to post your questions. You're going to watch the replays. You're going to sign up for Debbie's class and clear the decks for what you're going to implement today from this training and then from her class as well, and be supported. The universe is throwing avalanches of support at you, and it is our job to open up, receive, and it takes some crazy pants courage and some audacious self-trust and willingness to tune in and follow the nudge that the universe is sending. The universe has turned that dial you were talking about up to about 12 right now. So people who feel called are feeling it.
Yes.
And this is the key to unlocking some flow and impact.
I have one final thought before we leave, and this is so important, is that especially during this time where so many people have been so isolated, the follow-up is even more critical than ever, especially people who live alone. When they
welcome.
When you call them, oh my God, they are so happy to have a conversation. So if you ever have that salesy, pushy thing come up, just remember, follow-up is all about building relationships. And when you have a system in place that helps you to be consistently in touch with people, the relationship will deepen, the trust will deepen, the connection will happen, and it will lead to whatever result you're looking for.
And whatever it's meant to, right? But you did your part, right?
You did your part, and then you let go of the attachment to the results. That's the key. That's the biggest key for me when I was coming across salesy and pushy. I let go of my agenda. I let go of the attachment to results, and I just showed up and had so much more fun. And my clients tell me this all the time. That one client that I mentioned that hated networking, when we started working together and crafted her powerful message, and we talked about what intention to set and how to show up, she brought in $20,000 and 8 new clients from networking in 10 weeks of working with me. So that's what's possible when you have a good system and process, and you know what to say and you know what to do.
And you're being supported, right? We need support now more than ever.
Yes.
Love you all. Thank you for being here. Love you, Debbie.
Fun.
Thank you for being here. I think we know how to reach Debbie and get signed up for her training. You're always welcome to messenger me on Facebook if I can be of support to you. Accessing anything, we will check in the group, and it's one of the most powerful ways you can give voice to your vision is through sales and enrollment and showing up and not letting anyone fall through the cracks. So thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. So nice to meet you gals. And hopefully I'll see you on Monday or Tuesday at one of the master classes.
Yay. Bye, live
Have a great
stream.
day.